Did you just graduate from the University of Iowa and thinking about moving to Chicago? Well, first of all, congratulations. And second of all, here's a video to help you move from Iowa City to Chicago, Illinois. Hi, my name is Kerwin Alvaro. I'm a real estate agent with Coldwell Banker Realty here in Schaumburg, Illinois, and I'm also a University of Iowa alumni. I graduated in December 2018 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Enterprise Leadership. During my time at the University of Iowa, a bunch of my friends decided that they wanted to move to Chicago for the very first time, or some were just returning back to Illinois. And as someone who's originally from Chicago, I understand their excitement. Chicago's a real great place. You have music festivals, concerts, you have your beaches, a lot of outdoor activities. You can even do like indoor rock climbing. You can go out to many bars and restaurants, or even just walk around and enjoy the town. There's a lot of things to do in Chicago, and you're really gonna find yourself struggling to ever really be bored just because there's so many activities that you can do in this great city. Okay, so moving to Chicago, there are two major buildings that you need to understand. There's your private buildings, and then you have your managed buildings. Your private ones are pretty much like your landlords or private landlords. They're the ones that you'll contact. There's usually only one person and then maybe a property management team. But then your managed buildings, pretty much like your high rise. You have like a bunch of neighbors, condos, whatever. They're usually a giant team, and they both have their pros and cons. For a managed building, you usually will have someone that you can always contact and escalate a problem if needed. Let's say if you have a noisy neighbor, or maybe there's something wrong within your room or unit, you'll usually have someone that you can contact, and they'll probably send someone out within 24 hours just because they have somebody on hand. Versus a private building, you'll have to talk to your landlord, and they'll have to reach out to their property management team, and they'll usually send someone there within 24 hours or 48 hours. It really depends. Both have their pros and cons, and so like I said, the managed building here, they'll usually have extra amenities. They'll have like a gym, rooftop deck, an office space. They maybe even have like a theater, or they'll have someone opening the door for you 24/7. Well, with a private building, you won't really receive any of that. You might have a patio and you may have a yard, but for the most part, you're probably gonna have to go somewhere for like a gym or a pool, or if you wanted to go out. But with the private building, you'll have a chance to rent out the whole floor or even the whole entire house, depending on how many roommates you plan on living with, which can ultimately be really fun. It's your own place, and again, it's private. Versus a managed building, you're most likely next to a neighbor. You know, there are multiple doors, multiple neighbors, and it can get pretty loud in some other areas. You can hear people from the upstairs, downstairs, whatever. Again, it has its pros and cons. And with the managed building, you're most likely going to avoid any mid-rent or a lease adjustment throughout the year. That's just because they want to avoid paperwork. I mean, if they have multiple units, like 50 plus, that's a lot of paperwork, and so usually they like to keep it on an annual basis. But sometimes with private landlords and private buildings, they may adjust the rent midway through the year or have a lease adjustment. I haven't seen a case like that, but it is possible. But for both of them though, for managed buildings and private buildings, they will definitely increase your rent annually if you decide to stay for more than 1 year. Okay, so let's talk about parking. So if you plan on bringing your car to Chicago and you want to move in whatever, I would plan like a monthly or yearly budget, just because it can get pretty expensive. Finding a parking space in Chicago is very difficult. It can be challenging. At the same time, it may not even be worth it. You most likely would be walking to wherever you need to go, maybe taking a bike, riding the L, whatever the scenario is. You may even Uber or Lyft. It doesn't really make sense to have a car if you don't plan on traveling outside of Chicago for the most part. When it comes to private buildings, you may have like an off-street parking, or even like a tight alleyway with like a garage. But let's say that you're parking on the street with a private building. Well, during the winter, it can get really difficult. If the snow comes through, it'll pretty much bury your car. And then if you shovel it out, if you don't save your spot, someone's gonna take it. Or if you take someone's spot, it becomes really passive aggressive with your neighbors. With a managed building, you may have a garage that you can park in. That's really helpful. But when it comes to clearing it out, sometimes it takes them a little bit, just because again, there's probably so many floors and so many garage space that it's gonna take a while. I would generally advise not to have it, just because you can save a lot just by walking, taking a bike, and using the L. And plus, it's a good way to know know your neighborhoods and really explore the city. And when it comes to renting in Chicago, there's a lot of things that you have to figure out yourself. Do you want a studio or do you want multiple bathrooms and bedrooms? Do you want to live with a roommate or multiple roommates, or do you want to live alone? Do you want to have a work office space in the building, or at least in your floor or unit, or do you want to go out somewhere else? You really have to figure out what exactly you're looking for. I mean, there are so many different styles of apartments and living situations that you have to really piece together what you want, and that can be really difficult. So I really encourage you to talk to a realtor and really figure out what exactly you're looking for, because when you talk to a realtor, they'll be able to break down everything, and as well as bring up something that you might be missing or something that you might not even thought about. Also, you have to be able to compare the rent prices around the area. I mean, there have been plenty of scenarios where I've heard friends overpaying for like a 1-bedroom home that should have been like $1,200 or something like that. You have to make sure that you can compare the rent price within that neighborhood and as well as the town over, just to make sure that you're paying something that's within the market. And with the private landlord, you're also able to negotiate your rent price. So make sure you guys do your own research and compare between like the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the square footage, if there's parking, if there are any extra amenities, if you're allowed to have pets. Those are kind of some of the factors that you would need to know in order to compare the apartment rents to whatever neighborhood in town you're looking for. And again, I encourage you to have a realtor because they'll be able to help you figure that all out and make sure that you're paying a fair rent price. And by the time it came to graduation, a lot of my friends started to do research on the neighborhoods that they want to move to. And for example, a lot of them ended up moving to the Gold Coast, South Loop, West Loop, Lakeview, Wicker Park, Wrigleyville, Lincoln Park, Logan Square, Old Town, Bugtown. I mean, they're all scattered throughout. And it's really hard to talk about each individual town because they have all their own unique features. And these are places that my friends are happy and comfortable that they like to call home. So this is definitely something that I encourage you guys to do, is do your own research and really take your time when exploring and researching these neighborhoods, because you want to be able to find a place that you can call home for a year. You gotta really take your time and do your research and really try to avoid rushing it just for the sake that you want to find a place and live to Chicago as fast as possible. Now, Chicago doesn't have like your Spoko, your Brothers, your Union, your Summit, whatever, but they have several Hawkeye bars within the area. And starting off, we have the Reveler, Merkel's Bar and Grill, Four Shadows, Clover Sports and Leisure, and the Hawkeyes Bar and Grill. Now, I encourage you guys to go to these places. I mean, it's a super fun bar. Obviously, it's not like Iowa City, and honestly, it might be a little bit better, but it's definitely a fun place to check out, especially with your friends and family. But that's it for today's video. I hope I can help out any Hawkeyes that are thinking about moving to Chicago. I'd be happy to chat with you guys, and you can definitely reach out to me at any time. Again, my name is Corinal Alvaro. I'm a real estate agent with Coldwell Banker Realty here in Schaumburg, Illinois, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below.